The silence in the studio was not empty. It was heavy, pressurized, the kind of silence that usually precedes a structural failure. There was no audience, no producers clapping to warm up the room, no canned laughter to smooth over the rough edges of human interaction. There were just two chairs, positioned across a sleek glass table that reflected the harsh overhead grid of studio lights. On one side sat Jason Momoa. He took up space. That was the first thing the cameras noticed. Even sitting down, he loomed. He was dressed in what looked like casual wear, a distressed linen shirt, heavy jewelry, the signature unkempt hair. But the casualness was curated. Every ring on his fingers caught the light. Every shift of his massive shoulders created a sound, the rustle of fabric amplified by the sensitive lavalier microphone clipped to his chest. He sat with his legs wide, a posture of absolute relaxed dominance. He looked like a man who had never been told no in a room he didn't own. On the other side sat Megyn Kelly. If Jason was a sprawling landscape, Megyn was geometry. She sat upright, her spine not touching the back of the chair. Her notes were stacked with military precision in front of her. She wore a tailored suit, sharp angles, dark colors. Her expression was unreadable, a professional mask of polite interest that hid a razor-sharp intent. She didn't look intimidated by his size. She didn't look charmed by his celebrity. She looked like a surgeon waiting for the anesthesia to take effect before making the first incision. The red tally light on camera one flickered to life. "Jason," Megyn began. Her voice was low, modulated perfectly for the broadcast. It wasn't warm, it was efficient. "Thank you for sitting down with me." Jason offered a smile. It was the famous smile, the one that had sold $1 billion in box office tickets. It crinkled the corners of his eyes, suggesting a laid-back, easygoing camaraderie. He leaned back, resting one arm over the back of the chair. "Good to be here, Megyn," he rumbled. His voice was a deep baritone, textured and gravelly. "Aloha." "Aloha," she repeated. She didn't smile back. She let the word hang there for a split second, stripping it of its cultural warmth and leaving it as a bare acknowledgement. She glanced down at her notes, then back up, locking eyes with him. "You're entering a new phase of your career," she said. "Producer, director, advocate. You've spent the last decade building a reputation as Hollywood's ultimate wild man. The outsider, the protector of the land." Jason nodded, the jewelry around his neck clinking softly. "That's the mission, yeah. It's about the connection. Keeping it real. Keeping it dirty." "Dirty?" Megyn echoed. "Yeah, you know." Jason gestured with a hand the size of a dinner plate. "Getting in the mud. Telling the stories that matter. Not just the superhero stuff, the real stuff." Megyn tilted her head slightly. "The real stuff." "Exactly. And yet," Megyn said, and the tone of the interview shifted imperceptibly, "it wasn't an attack, not yet. It was just a change in temperature. Your latest project, the one about indigenous preservation, it was filmed entirely on a soundstage in Atlanta." Jason blinked. The motion was slow. He didn't lose the smile, but the wattage dropped by 10%. "We needed control," he said, his voice easy. "Logistics. You can't always drag a crew into the jungle, Megyn. It leaves a footprint." "A footprint?" Megyn said. She picked up a pen, holding it loosely. "So, to save the land, you built a fake version of it in a tax-incentivized studio complex." Jason shifted. The leather of his chair creaked. "It's about the message. The art reaches the people. If the message lands, the method is justified." "Is it?" Megyn asked. The question hung in the air. Jason let out a short, breathy laugh. It was dismissive, the sound of a man used to steering conversations with charisma alone. "You're overthinking it. It's a movie. It's entertainment, but it has a heart." "I'm not overthinking it," Megyn replied smoothly. "I'm looking at the budget." She didn't look at the budget. She kept looking at him. "You speak often about authenticity," she continued, "about being of the earth. You've built a very lucrative brand around this idea of the untamed man, the rogue. But looking at your schedule, your endorsements, your contracts, this looks less like a wild man and more like a corporation." Jason's smile vanished. It didn't fade. It was deleted. His jaw set. "I run a business," he said. The gravel in his voice was harder now. "I employ people. I tell stories. I don't apologize for success." "No one is asking for an apology," Megyn said. "I'm asking for clarity." "Clarity on what?" "On who is sitting in this chair." Jason leaned forward. The movement was encroaching. In a normal conversation, this physical shift would trigger a retreat from the other person. Megyn didn't move. She didn't blink. "You're seeing him," Jason said quietly. "What you see is what you get." "Is it?" Megyn challenged. "Because the data suggests otherwise." She tapped the stack of papers in front of her. The sound was dry, like a dead leaf hitting pavement. "You crusade against consumerism," she said. "You post videos about single-use plastics. You shame industries for waste. And yet, last year alone, your private travel carbon footprint exceeded that of a small town in the Midwest." Jason stared at her. His eyes were dark, narrowed slightly under his brow. He didn't answer immediately. He was assessing her, realizing perhaps for the first time that his charm had no currency here. "I travel for work," he said. Short, clip. "And the yacht vacations?" Megyn asked. "Were those work?" "I work hard," Jason said, his voice dropping an octave. "I play hard. That's the life." "That's the brand," Megyn corrected. "It's my life," Jason snapped. It was a subtle snap, a crack in the granite. "It's a contradiction," Megyn said. She leaned in, mirroring his posture, invading his space with intellect rather than mass. "You position yourself as a guardian of the planet. You sell that image to fans who buy tickets believing they are supporting a movement. But isn't it true, Jason, that you are simply selling them an aesthetic?" Jason sat back. He exhaled, a long, audible breath through his nose. He looked away from her, toward the darkness of the studio, then back. "You're trying to paint me as a hypocrite," he said. "It's a boring angle, Megyn. Everyone in this town has contradictions. We do the best we can." "Most people in this town don't market themselves as saviors," Megyn countered. "I never called myself a savior." "No, you just played one, and then you kept the costume on." The silence returned. This time it was hostile. The air conditioning hummed, a low, indifferent drone. Jason's hands were clasped in his lap. His knuckles were white. He wasn't used to this. He was used to softballs. He was used to late-night hosts asking about his workout routine or his motorcycles. He wasn't used to being dissected. "I inspire people," Jason said finally. He spoke slowly, enunciating every word. "I get kids off the couch. I get them outside. I get them to care about the ocean. If I have to fly on a jet to get to the meeting that makes the movie that inspires the kid, that's the trade." "The trade," Megyn repeated. "A convenient calculus. It's reality." "It's convenience," she said, "and it pays very well." Jason's eyes flashed. "I donate millions." "Tax deductible," Megyn fired back, "and managed by an LLC that employs your family members." Jason froze. The room seemed to drop 5 degrees. "Careful," Jason whispered. It wasn't a threat, technically, but it felt like one. "You're talking about my family." "I'm talking about your business structure," Megyn said, her voice remaining perfectly level. "You are the one who merged the two." She glanced at her notes again. "Let's talk about the wild image," she said, pivoting before he could anchor his anger. "You have this persona, the beer-drinking, axe-throwing, rock-climbing warrior. It's very popular. It polls extremely well with men aged 18 to 49. Jason said nothing. He just watched her. "How much of that is you?" she asked. "And how much of that is a script written by your publicist?" "I don't have scripts for my life," Jason grunted. "Don't you?" Megyn pulled a sheet of paper from the bottom of her stack. She held it up. It wasn't a script. It was an email printout. "This is a memo from your agency sent to a production partner 3 months ago," she said, "regarding your appearance at a charity gala." Jason stared at the paper. He didn't reach for it. "Read it," he said. "I don't know what that is." "I'll read the relevant part," Megyn said. She adjusted her glasses. A deliberate, precise movement. "Mr. Momoa will require a customized entrance, no suit, distressed leather preferred. He needs to be holding a prop, an axe or a staff, to maintain brand continuity. He will not participate in the formal sit-down dinner. He needs to be seen standing, active, separated from the elite crowd. He is the outsider. Make sure the lighting reflects that. Megyn lowered the paper. She looked over the rims of her glasses. Brand continuity, she said. Make sure the lighting reflects that. Jason didn't move. He didn't look embarrassed. He looked bored, but it was a defensive boredom, a shield. It's a show, he said. It's Hollywood. You think people want to see me eating a salad in a tuxedo? They want the show. I give them the show. So it is a costume, Megyn said. It's a performance, Jason corrected. There's a difference. Is there? Megyn asked. Because you just told me 10 minutes ago that what I see is what I get, that it's real. Now you're telling me it's a show. It's an amplified version of the truth. It's a fabrication, Megyn said. It's a product. You are a product, Jason. Jason chuckled. It was a dark, dry sound. We're all products, Megyn. Look at you. The hair, the suit, the serious journalist act. You're selling a brand just as hard as I am. I'm not asking people to save the planet while I fly private, she replied instantly. I'm not selling moral superiority. I'm selling questions. You're selling conflict, Jason said. He leaned forward again, his voice gaining strength. That's your gig. You find someone people like, and you try to find the crack. You try to bring them down so you can feel tall. I don't need to bring you down, Megyn said. I'm just asking you to stand on your own record without the props. I stand just fine. Do you? Megyn leaned back. She dropped the paper onto the table. It slid across the glass, stopping just inches from Jason's hand. You're 46 years old, she said. You're trapped in a persona of a 20-year-old warrior. The industry is changing. The audience is getting smarter. They see the private jets. They see the inconsistencies, and they are starting to ask, is there anything underneath the leather? Jason went silent. He looked at the paper near his hand. He looked at the camera lens, the black glass eye staring back at him. Then he looked at Megyn. His face changed. The charm was gone. The wild man aggression was gone. What was left was something colder, something distinctly un-Hollywood. You think you know me, he said softly, because you read some emails, because you looked at some flight logs. I think I know the business, Megyn said, and I think you're afraid that the business is all there is. Jason stared at her. His chest rose and fell slowly. You want to know what's real? He asked. I'm waiting. This, he said. He gestured to the space between them. This is fake. This table, these lights, you, me sitting here answering these questions like I owe you something. You agreed to the interview, Megyn pointed out. I agreed to talk about my work, Jason said, not to be psychoanalyzed by someone who's never stepped foot in the dirt. There it is, Megyn said calmly, and the gatekeeping. You haven't been in the dirt, so you can't ask the question. It's a deflection, Jason. It's a way to avoid accountability. I'm accountable to my family, Jason said. I'm accountable to the land. I'm not accountable to you. You're accountable to the truth, Megyn said. If you claim to be a leader, you have to answer for where you lead people. Jason said nothing. He looked like he was calculating the distance between his chair and the door, or the distance between his hand and the microphone. Megyn pressed. She sensed the withdrawal and she pushed into it. Let's talk about the incident in Hawaii, she said. Jason flinched. It was microscopic, a twitch of the eye, but it was there. We're not going there, he said. It's public record, Megyn said. You blocked a development project. You claimed it was sacred land. You rallied thousands of people. You shut it down. Damn right I did. And then, Megyn continued, 2 years later, a different development company broke ground on the same site. A company your production firm has a partnership with. Jason's mouth opened slightly, then closed. That's different, he said. How? We have oversight. We made sure it was done right. It's a hotel, Jason, Megyn said. It's a luxury resort. You stopped a housing project for locals to build a resort for tourists because your partners were involved. That is a lie, Jason said. His voice was no longer a rumble. It was a flat line. It's in the filings, Megyn said. I have them right here. She reached for another piece of paper. Jason's hand moved. He didn't strike the table. He didn't grab her. He simply reached out and placed his large hand flat on top of her stack of notes. It was a boundary crossed. The sound of his hand hitting the paper was soft, a dull thud, but in the quiet studio, it sounded like a gunshot. Megyn froze. Her hand was halfway to the paper. Now his hand was covering it. She looked at his hand, the heavy silver rings, the scars on his knuckles. Then she looked up at his face. Jason wasn't smiling. He wasn't grimacing. He was staring at her with an intensity that stripped away the studio walls. It was the look of a man who was physically capable of ending the conversation whenever he chose. "Don't," he said. It wasn't a request. Megyn didn't pull her hand back. She didn't flinch. She held his gaze. "Are you intimidating me, Jason?" she asked. Her voice was quiet, steady, dangerous. "I'm telling you," Jason said, "that we are done talking about that." "We are done when I have an answer," Megyn said. "You have an answer," Jason said. "You just don't like it." "I have a deflection," Megyn said. "Remove your hand." It was a command, a direct order from the interviewer to the subject. Jason didn't move his hand. The tension in the room spiked. The producers in the booth would be holding their breath. This was the moment that went viral. This was the moment the publicist would try to scrub from the internet. "You think this is a game," Jason said. "You think these papers are the world. You think because you have a piece of paper, you own the truth." "I think facts matter," Megyn said. "Remove your hand." Jason leaned in closer. "Or what?" The question hung there. Or rare, raw, primal, or what? Megyn didn't blink. She didn't call for security. She didn't look at the camera for help. She simply looked at him with a cold, intellectual pity. "Or," she said softly, "you prove my point, that you are not a guardian. You are a bully who uses size to silence questions he can't answer." Jason stared at her. The words hit him. He processed them. He saw the trap. If he kept his hand there, he was the villain. He was the brute. He was exactly what she was accusing him of being. But if he moved his hand, he surrendered control. He allowed her to read the evidence. He admitted that the paper had power over him. It was a stalemate, a checkmate in slow motion. Jason looked at her eyes. He saw the resolve there. He realized with a dawning clarity that he could not win this with intimidation. She was immune to it. Slowly, very slowly, Jason lifted his hand. He didn't pull it back to his lap. He lifted it up, palm open, in a gesture of mock surrender. But his eyes remained cold. "Read it," he said. "Read your little paper." Megyn didn't gloat. She didn't smile in triumph. She simply reached under where his hand had been and pulled the document free. "Thank you," she said. She looked down at the paper. "The filing shows," she began, reading clearly, "that Pride of Gypsies, your entity, retains a 4% equity stake in the Kealani expansion project, the same project built on the land you declared sacred." She looked up. "Did you profit from the desecration of the land you swore to protect?" Jason looked at the camera. He looked at the lens as if it were a person he was trying to convince. "I made a deal," he said, his voice hollow, "to ensure we had a seat at the table, to control the damage. If I wasn't there, they would have paved the whole thing. I saved what I could." "You took a 4% cut," Megyn stated. "I took influence," Jason snapped. "Money is influence," Megyn agreed, "but usually the protector doesn't get paid by the invader." Jason looked down at the floor. The fight seemed to drain out of him. Not the physical strength, but the narrative strength. The story he told himself, the story of the good guy fighting the system, had been punctured. "It's complicated," he muttered. "It doesn't sound complicated," Megyn said. "It sounds profitable." Jason looked up. His eyes were tired. "Is that it? You got your headline? Jason Momoa sells out? Is that what you wanted?" "I wanted to know if you believed your own speech," Megyn said. "I believe it," Jason said. "I live it." "Except when the price is right," Megyn said. Jason stared at her. The air in the room felt used up. There was no oxygen left for excuses. "You're cynical," Jason said. "You see the worst in everyone." "I see the receipts," Megyn replied. Jason nodded, a slow, rhythmic nod. He looked at the glass table. He looked at the reflection of his own face in it, the wild man, the warrior. Then he made a decision. He didn't storm out. He didn't yell. He didn't flip the table. He simply stopped participating. He sat back in his chair. He uncrossed his legs. He placed his hands on the armrests, and he went silent. Megyn waited. She let the silence stretch. 5 seconds. 10 seconds. "Jason?" she asked. Jason looked at her. He offered no expression, no anger, no charm, just a blank, impenetrable wall of refusal. "Do you have a response to the equity stake?" she asked. Jason breathed in. He breathed out. He did not speak. "Are you refusing to answer?" Jason looked through her. He focused on a point on the wall behind her head. He had turned himself into a statue, a monument to his own stubbornness. Megyn watched him. She realized what he was doing. He was denying her the soundbite. He was denying her the climax. He was killing the interview by starving it of oxygen. She glanced at the producer off camera. There was a moment of confusion in the booth. "Keep going." "Cut." Megyn looked back at Jason. She respected the tactic. It was a power move. "Silence," she said, "is also an answer." Jason didn't blink. "It tells us," Megyn continued, speaking to the audience now, framing his silence before he could, "that the contradiction cannot be explained, only ignored." She organized her papers. She tapped them on the table to straighten the edges. "Jason Momoa," she said, her voice final, "thank you for your time." Jason didn't say, "You're welcome." He didn't nod. He didn't move. Megyn held her pose for the camera, the professional finish. "And we'll be right back," she said. The red light on the camera died. The studio lights shifted, signaling the break. The tension should have snapped. The crew should have moved in. But for a long moment, nobody moved. Jason sat there still staring at the wall. Megyn sat there watching him. Then slowly Jason reached up to his chest. He didn't look at Megyn. With deliberate, heavy movements, he unclipped the lavalier microphone. The sound of the plastic clip snapping shut echoed in the quiet room. He pulled the wire from under his shirt. He didn't do it gently. He yanked it, freeing the cable from his clothes. He placed the microphone on the glass table. He set it down gently, right on top of the paper regarding the hotel deal. He stood up. He was massive. Standing this close, his shadow fell over Megyn. He loomed over the desk, a giant in a room designed for normal-sized people. He looked down at her. Megyn didn't stand. She stayed seated, looking up, meeting his gaze with cool indifference. Jason looked at her for a long time. It wasn't a look of hatred. It was a look of assessment, like he was memorizing the face of an enemy he hadn't expected to respect. "You're good," he said. His voice was unamplified now, just a raw sound in the dead room. "You're a killer." "I'm a journalist," Megyn replied. "Same thing," Jason said. He turned. His heavy boots thudded against the studio floor. He walked toward the exit, his long coat swaying behind him. He didn't look back. He didn't say goodbye to the crew. He just walked into the shadows beyond the lights. Megyn watched him go. She looked down at the table. The microphone lay coiled like a black snake on top of the white paper. She reached out and picked up the mic. She held it for a second, weighing it. Then she looked at the dark camera lens. "Cut," she said softly. The screen went black, but the silence remained.